back to the Jeff Fox Show. It is the Two Live Stews Radio Network, and your boys doing a little something a little different. We're going to make a sharp left turn, and remember we talked about mental health, man, the whole situation with DeMar DeRozan of the Toronto Raptors, and then he inspired Kevin Love of the Cleveland Cavaliers to come and talk about some of his issues. I have family members that are dealing with depression and lots of stuff, and we're hoping to help somebody else today by going to our Real Man Block Yes line, and we're going to speak with Zakeya Foster, good friend of mine, who has written a book, and we'll talk about some of her trials and tribulations. Zakeya, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you so much. Talk about what inspired you to want to tell your story and about some of the things that you've had to deal with.
Okay, well, first of all, when I was diagnosed with clinical depression, it was shocking to me. I began to have panic attacks. To be honest with you, I had panic attacks prior to me being diagnosed. I just didn't know what it was.
Right.
I will never forget my first panic attack, and I literally felt like I was getting ready to die. Like I had no clue what was going on. I had no control over it. And I remember walking in my office telling one of my coworkers, I gotta go. And I ran to the doctor, and the doctor did some things, told me I had high blood pressure or whatever, but that wasn't necessarily true. So, what happened was, after so long of dealing with certain things that led up to my situation, and I was finally, because it was what happened was it was affecting work now, and so I had to now do some damage control because it was affecting my job. So I took myself to employee assistant on my own because I knew something was wrong. And once I went to employee assistance, they referred me to a therapist, and I still didn't want to go. You know, I'm a part of a church. I got faith. I believe in God. I believe in praying, this, that, and the other. So I still did not go until a year later. Then we had another incident, and I didn't have a choice but to go because at that point I had a nervous breakdown.
Wow. That's a lot to deal with. How did you know that there was something else going on, and did you ever blame yourself?
Because I know me, you understand? Mm-hmm. And I've always been very vibrant, party going, not party, but I can fit in any environment. I'm laughing, understanding people, and at this point, I had become almost like a vegetable. I had no desire to go anywhere. I could be in a room with a zillion people and felt alone. I began to, my mind was just all over the place. It was just very aggravating, and it was an issue. And I never really blamed myself, so to speak. I probably beat myself up for other things, not really blame myself. I just knew that I was in a situation that I needed to get help because I know me, and I knew that I had checked out, so to speak.
You know what I admire about you as a strong black woman is that you were able to stand up and face what you were dealing with. A lot of people would have found someone else to blame. It had to be somebody else's fault, and they would have actually, continued to blame others and not face what was going on head on the way you did.
Right.
I mean, you dealt with other stuff as well. Friends gave you issues, marriage issues, adultery. Where did you find the strength and the resolve to fight back?
There has to be a why in your situation, and you hear that a lot. And I have a daughter. She's my only child. And the day when I was around her and I almost didn't recognize her, I knew that nothing else was important but my life. At that point, it didn't matter about the adultery. It didn't matter about the friends who were cheating with my husband. It didn't matter about the people, the issues around me. The only thing that mattered at that point was survival. And I knew at that point I was fighting for my life. And life was more important to me than death. And I was just motivated to win. I've always been a leader. I've always been a winner. And I just needed to dig deep and find that person. You know, I was angry. I was bitter. You know, I went through that process of being angry, never really blaming anybody, but just angry and bitter. You know, I went through that mad black woman scenario. But once I realized that would not get me anywhere, it just wasn't worth it anymore, because the only thing that was important was my life. And so my daughter, I just couldn't imagine being on this earth and not even recognizing her, because my mind would be so far gone. And so that was my motivation. That was my why. I have some other motivating factors, but that was definitely my why situation.
You know, this is so inspiring. I'm sure there are a lot of other people that are dealing with similar issues. I mentioned I have a family member who's dealing with the same thing, anxieties and stuff. Mm-hmm. And he told me that I was the only member of the family that he could really talk to, you know. Mm-hmm. And this is real. In our communities as black people, we need to realize how real this is and not be so quick to call people crazy. Mm-hmm. That's something I think that keeps people away from the doctor or seeking professional help. And that it's okay to go and get professional help, right?
Right. I had to come to that conclusion. It took me a while. It took me a minute. I'll be honest, you know. I felt that stigma in the beginning as well. And also, you know, just thinking the one thing I did think was I didn't have faith. I was like, oh, I must be don't have enough faith. And so because I knew that I did have faith, I knew something was wrong. You know, but the part with talking to different people, I'm going to tell you why it's so hard to talk to people, because the one thing you don't want somebody to tell you is, I understand what you're going through. I hate that. Right. Like, if you haven't been there, no, you don't understand. You don't understand how it feels to walk around feeling like you have a chalkboard is scratching in your ear all day long. You don't know how it feels to be so sick of anxiety, and where it just comes out of nowhere, where sometimes all you could think of is that you don't want to be here. It's not that you want to kill yourself, but because you don't even know how to handle this and you can't control it, it becomes so frustrating. Your only thought is, I don't want to feel this anymore, so let me take my life. Like, if you don't understand being in a room of a zillion people and you're just sitting there wanting to cry for no reason, and everybody's looking at you like, oh, your life is great, why aren't you happy? If you don't understand those things, then you can't tell somebody I understand. You can't tell somebody to just get over it. So it's hard to communicate with everybody, because that's what I did. I withdrew from everybody, because the things they were telling me was making me mad. It was making it worse, because, you know, at first my family didn't understand. And then I had to eventually try to teach them what was going on. And thank God my family was receptive, because we ended up maneuvering through it.
Wow. Follow her on Twitter, folks, at Zakeya Foster on Twitter, and visit her website, ZakeyaFoster.com, who's joining us right here on the Real Man Blog guest line. We're talking about the book that you wrote, of course, Just Let Me Live.
Yes.
Talk about the title of the book, why you came up with that, and how you arrived to where you got to at that point.
I'm going to tell you, that was deep down within my gut. And even when I think about it right now, I'm just almost to tears, because I really did feel like death was all around me. It just felt like everything around me was crumbling. I was like in a deep, dark hole. And I knew better than that. I knew life was better than that. You know, I tell people all the time, knowing is half the battle. And I was so frustrated until I just remember screaming, just let me live. I needed a freedom, you know, freedom from the adultery, freedom from the hurt, freedom from the backstabbers, freedom in general, because I can recall just being in a place where I didn't even know who I was anymore. I just felt like I was a title. I was the title of being a mother, the title of being a wife, the title of being, you know, my job, the title of being that. So I'm like, where's Zakeya? You know, I didn't even know at that point what I love to do, this, that, and the other. And so the just let me live was I have to stop just existing and live my life. So many of us just are not living. We're going through life just floating around. You don't know who you are. You don't know what you want to do. You're not sure about this. You're letting people determine your happiness. And so just let me live just came from a deep place of pain. I was like, this has to be over. I have to live my life in a real, true happiness without trying to fake it just to make it.
You have gone on to become a motivational speaker. You're educating, again, those in our communities, the black communities, about mental health and being a life coach. I am so proud of you, Zakeya, because I've seen some of your workshops and some of the counseling you've given other women of color in particular on some of your Girl Talk conversations. How has that strengthened you in your journey, and how have you seen change in others?
You know, one thing about speaking up is once you speak up, the floodgates open, and that's your strength. And because, you know this, I love the Miami Heat, and everybody would see me at the Heat games and this, that, and the other. So it appeared that I had this wonderful life. And so the one day when I wrote this long post about what I was really going through in a depression, my inbox was full. It just, my phone rung off the hook. The messages, the text messages, the floodgates open. You know, I gave other people the strength to say, I'm dealing with the same thing. And so that also was a motivating factor. I've seen so much growth in so many ladies. It still shocks me. It still shocks me. And I'm embracing that, but it's still shocking that, you know, out of my pain came purpose. And so I have so many ladies that's around me that I'm super proud of that have gone through different things. And it is just my desire, because what happened was, Jeff, I just was in a place by myself. When I was first diagnosed, I went to the pastor and it was like, well, you just got demons. And I was like, I don't have no demons. Something is wrong. Right. And so I found myself in the midst of this illness, this mental health. I'm coming from being a strong black woman to now all of a sudden being sitting in this place where I'm dealing with all of these things that I have no control over. And so I was like, if I just come out of this, and I will always talk about it. I will not keep it in. I will empower other people to say, listen, you don't have to not say anything. Like, I love the fact, I read the article about Kevin Love. I love the fact that so many are speaking out about mental health because it's so serious, especially in the black community. And we have people that's just like dying slowly, slow deaths from this. And so when I see other women who are coming out of it and doing well, it's inspiring. I have a lot of different testimonies, even men. I've had men reach out to me, and that within itself, a young man, I will never forget. I think he was probably on the verge of suicide, and somebody called me, and it was like, you need to call this person immediately. And I got him on the phone, and he ended up going to a therapist, and I keep up with him, and he's doing amazing. He's doing amazing. So it's just a matter of talking to people. I just think we forget to be human sometimes, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking to the Zakeya Foster here on the Jeff Fox Show, Two Live Stews Radio Network. Again, you know, I read the Kevin Love story. I read the DeMar DeRozan story. And I remember Ricky Williams playing with the Miami Dolphins, always doing interviews with his helmet on, just never comfortable around other people, you know. And I never quite understood, like, you know, again, I remember going to Burger King with my kids and my cousin, and we all came in the car, and he couldn't come in. He didn't want to come in, you know. And instead of judging him, I put an arm around him, and I said, hey, man, it's okay. And you know what he did? He went and got help. He went and got help. So you ought to be commended for facing whatever that is, you know, head on, because you're right. No one can tell you, oh, I understand what you're dealing with. No, we don't. Right. No, we don't. But you ought to be commended for getting up and in spite of what people may say, being brave enough to go and get help. And look where you are today.
Yeah, I appreciate it. You know, I faced adversity. I had people to tell me, "Oh, you're not helping people. You're not doing this. You should just stop talking about it." And I was like, "Ma'am, you know, you should just really get out my inbox. And if you don't like it, delete me.
Yeah.
Delete me." You know, I did. And then I even told myself, "Well, Lord, I don't want to be the face of mental illness." I mean, I struggled with that. It wasn't easy. Like, it wasn't easy. It's still not easy talking about it because I know I'm still met with some resistance from people, you know, but I push myself because at the end of the day, it's worth it. It really is. And so, you know, I did my thing. I finished school eventually with my degree in psychology. That took me 13 years. And I mean, so I'm feeling good because I had to fight through these things to achieve some of my goals, and I'm still going. I'm still going. I still go to my doctor. I still get help. Because then it's a matter of maintaining it. And we get confused because sometimes we're doing fine and we're like, "Oh, I don't have to go to the doctor anymore." Well, that's not true.
That is not true. It's
right.
Okay. That's something I just learned. Like,
right.
It's not. It's kind of like alcoholism. Like, you're never
right.
really cured.
You're never really cured.
Okay.
No,
Didn't know that.
I mean, you can. Some can manage it. You know, go in remission. You know, I think I'm in remission. I think I heard my doctor say that the other day, but you have to maintain it because one of the things is the life that we led, some of us led to this. Some of us. So it's also a matter of learning how to live. You understand, like learning how to change different behaviors that guide us here. This behavior of being a people pleaser, this behavior of just, you understand, just
Yes.
getting to this point that makes you sink so low that you don't even know who you are. And because, like, even when you know something and you fight it all your life, then eventually, like, the brain can get sick. And people don't realize that you have to keep it healthy. And so maintaining it means making healthy decisions. But once it gets to that point where it kind of starts functioning like it's not supposed to, then we got issues. And so that's what I try to do. I try to talk to people before they get to that breaking point. Because once you get to that breaking point, now it's just like it has to be maintained. You understand? Like, it's not like, oh, it's like, okay, I'm going to cure you. It's not really like that. It has to be maintained. You know, I used to go every once a week. Then I was once a month. Now I'm every 3 months. And so, yeah, I'm doing good.
Talk about the Miami Heat again. You're one of the biggest D-Wade fans, one of the biggest Heat fans that I know, constantly at the game. Yeah. How the Miami Heat motivated you to not give up, to fight. That's a tremendous compliment to that basketball team.
And let me tell you, and I rarely tell the story, and I wondered, should I put it in my book, but I think I'm just going to do like another book or something. Not specifically about that, but I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to go all the way back because I was really diagnosed in, I think, 2010. And I remember when we had that party, not party, but that welcome Wade and that big celebration that we had LeBron. And I remember us being in that auditorium. We were screaming, we were happy. And when we got out of the auditorium and out of the arena and went out and watched the news, we was the demons. We was the biggest. We was, you know, they hated us. And so I'm like, oh my God, why are these people hating us? And we're just happy. Like, I'm just happy Wade got some help. I'm looking at LeBron obviously make a decision that was tough for him because that was his hometown. And so to me, I'm looking at good things that people made a decision that bettered them, and the whole world hated it.
Absolutely.
So the one thing that showed me is, number one, you got to do what's best for you. That's the lesson I learned in that. And then when I would watch them play, I would go to each game and I would see the determination that they had to fight against this. And they was one of the most hated teams. And I would see them look like it's not going to work. People telling them, oh, they the big three. It's never going to work. This, that, and the other. And I would see them come out. And some days they was just the best. And so as I watched them work through it, as I watched them find a way, you know, because that was their thing, find a way to win. And as I watched them find a way to win, I took that in. Like, I put that in my spirit. So I would go to each game and I would watch them. And I would go to the games. Then I would go home and watch it again. And so I would take a piece. And that's how I became like this junkie.
Right.
I would take a piece of them. I will never forget watching Bosch fall to the floor, like crying when they left, when they lost. You know what that showed me?
Mm-hmm.
I knew that next year he was going to be even more determined.
Yep.
I knew that failure had an impact on him enough to come back out fighting. So I would take these little messages and use them for myself and motivate me to get past it. And so through those years, that's just what I did. You know, I saw Wade step back to let LeBron step up. You know, that showed me something. Sometimes you got to just step back for a minute, understand what you got to do. But the key is to become a champion. And so even with my life coaching program, I called it the making of a champion. And so that's how I coach people in life. The making of a heart of a champion, developing a heart of a champion. And that's what I call it, because to me, you got to fight through some things to become a champion. Like it's uncomfortable. It's uneasy. You got to lose sometimes. Not going to look good all the time. But if you got the heart of a champion, you can't help but to win. And so that's what I took from them, you know, and that's how I kept going. Like, even, I mean, it helped me to screaming at the game so it let some frustrations out. But and just watching them find a way to win. I took that message for my life, and I was like, the kid, you got to find a way to win. And that's what I did. And
she's winning, folks. The name of the book, Just Let Me Live. Zakeya Foster, author, motivational speaker, life coach. I mean, I'm so proud of you again. Let everybody know where they can get the book and where they can find some of your work.
Okay, the book is on Amazon, Just Let Me Live. If you just type that in, it'll come up. It's also on my website, www.Zakeya, Z like zebra, AKEYA, ZakeyaFoster.com. I have a few things coming up. I have my girls group, Girl Talk Global. We're going to the Essence Festival. I'm going to do a Girl Talk there. We're going on a cruise in September. We're going to do a Girl Talk there. But if you just keep up with me on Instagram, it's also Zakeya Foster. And, you know, I have a whole bunch of different things. What I want to do is just do some things to motivate women, to keep them going. So I have a few workshops that's coming up for that as well.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Zakeya. We definitely appreciate you. Good luck to the Miami Heat getting to the playoffs.
Yes. And you know I was so happy when Wade came back. You already know.
Oh, yeah. I remember you going out there with the sign and everything. I remember, man.
We want Wade. Remember we had that We Want Wade?
Right. Absolutely. So I might have some ex-girlfriends that I may want to send your way to calm down, you know, and not be so angry all the time because
we're angry. A lot of women. I'm like, y'all gotta get yourself together.
Yeah, for real, man.
We have to check ourselves, and a lot of women don't like to do that. And I'm like, if you're gonna sit down and have a conversation with me, the first person we're gonna start with you.
Right.
You're not blaming everybody for your life.
Absolutely, man. Good stuff right there, Zakeya Foster. Thanks for joining the show. I'm so happy we did this. Been wanting to do it for a long time. Finally, we got to connect and get it done. And I look forward to working with you and, of course, your foundation and everything in the future.
I appreciate it. This was fun. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Alrighty. Okay.
The 2018 Jazz in the Gardens Music Festival. Saturday, March 17th and Sunday, March 18th at Hard Rock Stadium. Featuring Anita Baker, Chaka Khan, Smokey Robinson, Fantasia, Joe, Sultan Peppa, Tasha Combs Leonard, Trombone Shorty, and more. Tickets on sale now at the box office, Ticketmaster.com or jazzinthegardens.com. Brought to you by the City of Miami Gardens.